What's poppin', y'all? This is Deidre with One Shot Game, man. You already know how the motto go. You get one shot at life, but a lifetime to learn all the game you need to help improve your life. The choice is yours on which route you choose to take. Now, as I always say, you get two choices. The ability to settle in the life that has been faithfully set out for you, or the ability to pave a path towards your destiny. That choice is also up to you. So before I get into the title of my video, I want to say a big shout out to all my supporters. You guys are great. And even the ones behind the scenes, I see y'all too. So look, I'm at the park today, a different park, and they didn't have park benches. So I took a seat in the grass. You feel me? So again, I make do with what I got. So the topic of this video is going to be on the fact that oftentimes there are things put in place as far as scare tactics to stop us from using our mind. And let me explain to y'all how that is. You know what I'm saying? Until I started to really get to know myself, I started to realize that there is nothing against you having a mind that goes through certain things, you know what I'm saying, and goes around and thinking outside the box. But what they'll try to do is try to put a cap on that so that you're not able to use that part of your brain to, you know what I'm saying, think of a new way to survive in this world that's meant to, hold people back. It's cruel, So again, let me explain something to you. I'm a person that's understanding of how karma works. You know what I'm saying? I'm well aware of the fact that there are rules and that you have to follow them. And if you break them, there will be consequences, right? But I'm also aware of the fact that oftentimes there are not rules for certain things. If you have the type of brain that knows how to think outside the box and make something work for you that goes around the rules, right? It's not a rule. You know what I'm saying? It was nowhere said, put down, wrote down that it was a rule for you to do something where it conveniently fits you, right? But you'll have someone that'll come in and tell you that you can't do that, that's not okay, right? And so by asking a question like, okay, well, is it going to hurt anybody? Is it going to put anybody in a bad position? Because I clearly looked at the rules before I signed, and it didn't say anything about that. Then what happens is they come up with something to benefit them. It's technically not a rule. You technically can't get in trouble for thinking outside the box. You know what I'm saying? But they will have you thinking that you can get in trouble because you're going against what they said. You know what I'm saying? But if it was to stand up in, say, like an office or a court, you have to be willing to go in headstrong and standing behind what you know to be true. When I signed the rules, I looked at all of them. I read everything I signed. You know what I'm saying? It did not say anywhere in the description that I could not do this. You know what I'm saying? So really, there is no way that you could make someone get in trouble. It'd just be making the person who thought they try to do something shut up and sit down. You feel me? And a lot of people don't like that, simply because they feel as if someone that comes in and knows how to think out of the box is a threat to their whole system, and you will give other people the freedom to do the same. You feel me? But again, there is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? If you're able to clearly think of something that doesn't hurt anybody, you know what I'm saying? Just, it's a way to get around something that maybe could be holding you back. You use your creative side of your mind and you think of a way to go around it. Only reason why it becomes a rule to somebody is because you're you. And they came in having a bad day, and whatever you had set up, because you were the one who thought of it, they're going to be like, no, you can't do that. Understand and realize you cannot get in trouble because someone made up a rule for today based off of what they were feeling. You know what I'm saying? That is just a control tactic to get you, you feel me, to put a cap on your brain so that you don't think what you're doing is okay, and it keeps you in line. You know what I'm saying? And it's so crazy because I'm the type of person who asks questions. You know what I'm saying? And when you ask questions, it's funny how the people that you ask be like, ooh, who told you that? You feel me? Simply because they don't want it to be their people, because what they're understanding now is somebody is thinking outside the box of how this system is conformed. And we don't need that. Because if everybody starts becoming free, then this system breaks down and you're a threat to my survival, whatever I got going on at home. I'm telling you, it's a game being played. And the game is so big that everybody is out for self right now currently. But if you really get down to the meat and potatoes and you think about it on an aspect of yourself, you got to understand and realize who you are. And know that anytime you have the power of a strong-minded person and you're able to think around certain things, it's not against the rules. You cannot get in trouble for thinking outside the box. You know what I'm saying? They'll just have you thinking that because they don't want you to break whatever power system they got going on. You know what I'm saying? And it's so strong. It has been going on for so long in our lives, is the ability to let's have people think a certain way by using our dominance and control. Therefore, we don't have no worries of them breaking out the system because they're so afraid of our authority and who we are that they won't be able to, have any ability to have a free mind. And I oftentimes, listen, I think that's what hold a lot of people back. If you scared to have a free mind, you'll be scared to, think of something creative. You'll be scared to, put your project out because you're afraid of what somebody might do. You're afraid of what somebody might say. You know what I'm saying? Because there are people out there that bend the rules to fit their survival technique. Meaning it's not a law. It's not a rule. You're not doing anything. You're just going against their standard practice. And they're going to put fear in you by making you be afraid to do what you're doing. Again, like I've said in past videos, by just dangling something over your head. For instance, let me give off another example. Everything in the world has to function. We need things in life, right? But listen, let me give you an example, right? So say you working your job, right? You didn't put in for vacation time 2 weeks early, right? You didn't schedule it and everything. You got a big event for your kid going on that week and you need all those days off, right? When that time comes around, your supervisor or manager comes to you and tell you, okay, look, you can't take all those 5 days off because such and such called out. And I need you to come to work those 2 days. You feel me? Now, one or two things can happen. Either you're going to be scared because you afraid you're going to get fired. So you let him cut your 5-day vacations to 3 days because somebody called out. You know what I'm saying? Or you say to him, I requested this week off in advance. I did everything correctly the way I was supposed to. Now because somebody called out, you want me to cut my vacation short and come and only maximum it down to 3 days? You cannot, listen, there is no law that says a person is allowed to do that. The only thing that happens is now your brain goes into thinking, is it a risk? Can I get fired? You know what I'm saying? This gonna cut my money off. Because, again, the moment you tell him no, he has the possibility to use his authority. He has the possibility to even say things that are not true. You feel me? To get you to come in. And now you have to sit with your kid feeling emotional or going through something because you were supposed to have the whole week off and you didn't. There is nothing wrong with you speaking up for yourself if you did it the correct way. You know what I'm saying? You requested the time off in advance. Your time off was approved. Something happened in the midst of that that's on the company, and they're trying to fill in their role due to their survival technique. Has absolutely nothing to do with you. Now, again, if a person is really threatened by you having a peace of mind and speaking up for yourself, hey, he does have the possibility, you feel me, to try to fire you or dangle firing you over your head. But you can take that to court if you're willing to do that. If you're willing to go through the process of standing up for yourself, you know what I'm saying, and having rights, then I would. You feel me? Because there is no way that I followed the procedure. I did everything right, and you waited up until the last moment to tell me something that don't benefit me because somebody else is calling out, and that's a threat to your company. That has nothing to do with me. You come in then. You feel me? And fill that role and do it. But again, there are a lot of people that are in positions of authority and don't feel as if they need to do that. They have people they hire for that. And if you don't want to do it, they're going to fire you. It's fucked up, but it's really the reality of the world. You know what I'm saying? And I truly believe that a lot of companies are like that. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you do everything necessary to cut off the free thinking mind of a person that's able to get around things that are really not rules. They're really not going to get in trouble for using their own mind. We just want to scare them into submission so that they don't think it's okay. And again, you got to really think of how far back this goes. This goes back so far, you know what I'm saying, that especially people of my culture weren't allowed to use their minds or weren't allowed to speak up for themselves without repercussions. Repercussions that weren't legit, weren't put on paper, weren't stamped. It was just, you know what I'm saying, you weren't able to do this. So you got to think of how a lot of people get into these mentalities where they feel like, hey, that's not right, you can't do that. So now they take it into breaking rules and laws and shit, you feel me? And then act as if when the consequences happens, like for instance they go to jail, like that shit's cool. That shit's not cool. You actually broke a law that was written down on paper. You could have thought of a smarter way to do that without jeopardizing yourself and painting a picture like that's cool, because it's not. You know what I'm saying? But again, you have to not be afraid and ask questions. They're going to throw out every possible thing that they could say to you when you ask questions, simply because this system has been designed for people not to ask questions. Just go with the flow. If I tell you something, just do it. You know what I'm saying? Don't ask questions, nothing. You know what I'm saying? You got to think of how that leads to a lot of people feeling trapped inside their brain. And I'm just not one of those people that's going to sit around and, you know what I'm saying, go with the unfairment of me personally. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what it is about people, but people like to fuck with me for no reason, simply because I have a mind that thinks outside the box. Not in a disrespectful way, not in a break the law, break the rules way, but in a way where I use my mind to put together what's beneficial for me. You know what I'm saying? And again, people don't like that. People don't like people that have their own mind. People like people that go in formation. And it's sad, but it's the reality of the world, and that keeps a lot of people trapped. You know what I'm saying? For instance, like the what's it called? The watermelon, the mango mans, you know, the little carts, the little Hispanic people that be pushing their carts trying to make a living. It was not a problem for a very long time. Now that they see it more, or they see people actually making money off of it, they want to have their piece of the pie. So now you got to have permits and all this extra shit. You know what I'm saying? It's almost as if like they're making the system designed to up the prices on everything. And anytime you use your mind to come up with a side hustle or something that, you know, can help you survive, they always want to try to get a piece of that. What's wrong? Y'all not making money with the way y'all got things set up? If you not, you need to reconstruct the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Because people are getting to a point where they're starting to understand it's the system set up to keep us trapped. You know what I'm saying? Everything is skyrocketed extremely high. You know what I'm saying? All the side hustles cease to exist. You know what I'm saying? People are not want to work little low-level jobs because it's just not working. You know what I'm saying? And oftentimes people are afraid of that. They don't know what to do. So they get in a mental space where they feel like they got to lead a city, or they feel like, you know what I'm saying, shit ain't going right for them. I tend to think differently. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to stick up for myself as well as others. You know what I'm saying? Some certain things that are put on people are just not right. And they're only done to keep people from thinking outside the box, not because it's an official law or an official rule. So you have to be able to stand behind what comes with that. And oftentimes it be people who just simply betray you or try to knock you down off your high horse because they feel as if they have the power to do that. Until, you feel me, you keep going and you don't give up. You know what I'm saying? At some point, it'll be thrown back into their face of the reality of what they're doing is not right. It takes time, because you got to think, a lot of people are still systematically programmed. They're stuck in this box where they don't think outside the box. Everything got to be this way. And when you come into contact with someone like me, you know what I'm saying, who has experienced a ton of things in my short life, but can see through the veil, the shit I be talking, it be almost as if they don't nobody got nothing to say. They don't know what to say. They be wanting to know. They be inquiring the wisdom, but at the same time, they feel as if you're somebody that's too far advanced for our system. So we're going to try to do everything we can to buckle you down. You're not doing anything wrong. It's very clear you mind your own business and you're very respectable. But that's what we don't want. You know what I'm saying? We need you to fall in line systematically so everything can flow. So certain people with a mind don't break our system. Because you got to think, once people start getting their own mind and start believing in themselves and knowing they better, certain systems aren't able to feed off those people's minds. Because now they done went a different way. I'm not gonna keep falling into this system and you could keep abusing me, keeping me silent. I done woke the fuck up and I see what's going on, and that system fails. And then the people in that system, their whole lifeline is jeopardized because they thought that system would go on forever. You feel me? Listen, it started at the top of the food chain first. The government with budget cuts, you got people on panic. You feel me? COVID, people was in the house, they couldn't go outside. That was the start of it right there. You feel me? And now it's almost to the point where people are just afraid. They're afraid that, you know what I'm saying, if budget cuts are formed, what they gonna do? How they gonna survive? You feel me? As you can see, things that are happening is supernatural. You can't control certain things. So if something, you feel me, was to happen to jeopardize your survival, what are you gonna do? Do you have a backup plan? Do you use your mind to go through the loop and over it? Or are you just stuck to what they tell you? So now you're in a panic and you don't know what to do. Listen, you got me fucked up. Never. You know what I'm saying? It's a will, it's a way. It's just when you're structurally programmed to stay in line and not talk and open your mouth, you get programmed to the program they got you set on, even though your mind is so aware of so much more. You know what I'm saying? I know how to make things work for me in a way where I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not breaking any rules. I'm not being disrespectful. That is not a crime. You can't get me in trouble for that. But again, like I said, people that have their own mind is a threat to this system that banks off control of people never stepping out of it. You know what I'm saying? And I just want people to know that it's not a crime when you think through something. Meaning, I'm not saying go out there and think you Queen Tut or King Tut and you go out there and break laws because you think the world is owed to you. I'm not saying that, because if you do that, you will get your ass in trouble. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you are able to, you know what I'm saying, think through something that's not actually written down, you used your mind to think outside of it, it's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? You're able to do that. It may be foreign and different to people that are systematically programmed, but so what? Who cares? You know what I'm saying? Listen, you got to really think of how there are certain people like that became homeless, whether it was they want to be homeless or they were forced to be homeless. They decided to use what they had, which is, I can't afford a hotel, so I'm going to get a tent and I'm going to camp out somewhere. There is no law against that. And trespassing is not breaking the law. It's just they don't want people hanging out in tents in areas like that, so they break them down. They force those people to leave. Those people go set up somewhere else, or they figure out a different result. You know what I'm saying? But the system is designed to keep people in a certain mindset so that certain systems can make money off that mind. But I'm here to tell you, if everybody wakes up and realize their own true power, you can't keep making money off people. People are not, you feel me, robots. These are human beings with lives. Just like the people in government positions, y'all also have lives too. And would be damned if somebody jeopardized you or your freedom or the people that you care about. So why do y'all think it's okay to do it to us? You feel me? Because people think outside the box. Now, listen, I'm going to say it again. If you're out here breaking the law and you decide to take a risk with that and you get caught, you're going to have to take that consequence. That just is what it is. But if you've thought of a way to go through something that's not actually a law, and somebody comes in and tell you that it is, or that's not okay, or they don't want you to do that, it's simply because they don't like that you have a free mind, and they're trying everything that they can to try to trick you out of thinking you can't do that. You feel me? And they'll do whatever, even lie. But you got to really know yourself enough to know, look, that is not a rule. I know it's not, because I read the paperwork. It didn't say nothing about that. So when you go up against someone that tries to go in somewhere and get you in trouble or whatever for that, they going to look stupid when you walk out. You feel me? Because they're going to be the ones who look dumb, because you just plainly didn't like me having a free mind. You feel me? And I thought of a way to go around something, and you were having a bad day that day. You woke up and you decided to say to me, oh, you can't do that. Listen, not today, not tomorrow. You feel me? That is the start to a creative process. That is how people are able to go out there and do things that's creative. It's not that you're breaking the rules, but spiritually you are breaking the rules, because again, it's a certain system set up and designed for people not to think outside their head. So spiritually you're breaking those laws, but physically you're not, especially if it's not written down on paper. You know what I'm saying? You're not doing anything, you feel me, to anybody. It's just a lot of people are systematically programmed and know that if a free thinker is able to come in and shut that system down, by the time they get done with it, everything go be jeopardized. It's not my fault. You feel me? You need to blame it on the universe, because at this time in life, it is set and designed for the universe to award these people with this certain type of ability to where they're able to see through certain systems that treat people like numbers instead of humans. That's not something you could stop or avoid. It doesn't matter how much you try to attack somebody that you know is not doing anything wrong, it will come back to get you. And when it does, I'm afraid to say that you're just going to be left looking crazy. So again, I record these videos because it's a form of therapy for me, especially when I experience things in my life that I know it's the injustices of people in general, especially my culture people, because we're so creative with stuff. We so outspoken, you know what I'm saying? We so don't play that, you feel me? And we speak our mind. They don't like that. But I'm here to tell you, it's nothing wrong with doing it now. Just be aware of the fact that you're fighting a big spiritual system. And when you go against that, there will be consequences for it spiritually. And if you're able to handle that, you'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? To continue with your mission. Because once you pick up the call to Jesus, you can't hang up. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to make another video after this that's going to explain it on a wider span. But again, know and understand that if you've read anything you've signed, you're a respectable person. You know that there's rules you got to follow in this world. You're not hurting nobody. You're not being disrespectful to nobody. And you've thought through something to help you, and someone tries to tell you that it's wrong, it's not. It's just to keep your mind in line. Don't fall for it. Be prepared to understand that people just who don't like you for having a free mind is going to try to keep you in line, because they're afraid of when you step too far out the box spiritually, it's going to crumple everything they got going on. So what? Who gives a damn? You know what I'm saying? That it's so much going on in the world these days that people need to understand. The more people that stand up and use their mind, the more people will have the freedom to be okay, to be themselves in a world where it's not designed to be like that. So again, if you don't know what it is, I just told you. Please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe.